Thank you very much, Presiding Officer. First of all, I welcome this report by the Equalities, Human Rights and Civil Justice Committee. It's not the first time that a report of this nature has been produced by a committee in the Parliament, but I certainly very much welcome it. Presiding Officer, I want to begin by affirming that every asylum seeker and refugee should be treated with dignity and compassion, and along with colleagues, I do express my condolences and sadness at the death of the asylum seeker today. They are people just like you and me, and the only difference being that they are from a country where they are no longer safe. Now, that can be because of war or persecution for reasons of race, religion, nationality or membership of a particular social group or political opinion. And while not included in the official definition of a refugee, many people flee their homes because of climate damage. And according to the UN Refugee Agency, the climate crisis is driving displacement and making life harder for those already forced to flee. And this demonstrates how addressing the climate emergency is also a social justice issue. And Presiding Officer, I am proud that Scotland has a long history of welcoming refugees and asylum seekers, and recognises it is a human right to be able to seek asylum in another country. My Greenock and Inverclyde constituency, like others across Scotland, rallied round to support Ukrainians who had fled their homes following Russia's illegal invasion of their country. And many of those Ukrainians now feel able to make a new life for themselves in Inverclyde, having been welcomed with open arms by the community. And more recently, the UK Government has situated asylum seekers in the Holiday Inn Express in Greenock. In response to this, the Greenock Baptist Church has opened its doors to provide a safe space for asylum seekers to socialise and spend time out of the hotel and also in the community. And local charities also donate items to ensure that asylum seekers don't go without essentials like warm clothing and toiletries. And since 2017, Your Voice, which is a third sector organisation in Inverclyde, have been running their New Scots project, which welcomes families and individuals from multicultural backgrounds as they navigate their new home. The word home is important, as people seeking asylum are looking for a new home, somewhere to put down roots as they look for work, as well as potentially raising a family. But the UK Government's hostile environment approach to asylum seekers and refugees is sadly quite the opposite to Scotland's sense of welcome. Now, Labour's language around migration also leaves much to be desired, as the Shadow Secretary of State for Work and Pensions, Liz Kendall, said in a recent interview that Labour agrees with the Tories increasing the salary threshold for overseas workers. That will have a huge detrimental effect on my constituency, which is already facing population decline. Now, Yvette Cooper, she's actually come with a number of quotes. In October 23, net migration is too high. November 23, Labour pledged to raise salary bar for skilled worker visa. May 23, Labour would put time limits on hiring of overseas workers to curb migration. And also going back to May 2013, Yvette Cooper once again, immigration must come down. Saying also, going back to the committee report, those seeking asylum are some of the most vulnerable people across the world, and they should be protected and also welcomed. Now, last week, the Prime Minister held a press conference about his asylum plan, and tonight the Commons will vote on the new Rwanda bill. Now, where was his press conference about the cost of living crisis, high inflation or mortgage interest rates, issues affecting every single person living in the UK? As asylum is a dog whistle issue to his party base and backbenchers, he sees this as, sadly, his primary focus. Now, sadly, Labour once again appears to support the Tory Prime Minister on this. But putting this issue, okay?
Paul O'Kane.
The member seems to be suggesting that Labour are somehow in support of today's bill in the House of Commons, or indeed the rhetoric that's coming from the government opposite. I outlined quite clearly in my speech what Labour's approach is to immigration, what a future Labour government would do, but it's clear that Labour MPs tonight in the House of Commons will be opposing the Conservative bill opposite.
Stuart McMillan.
I think Mr O'Kane has to go back and look at the official records. I didn't say he supported the bill. Putting this issue to the front and centre sadly perpetuates the notion that asylum seekers, refugees and immigrants are to blame for the issues facing the UK. Presiding Officer, I totally reject both the policy and language that the UK Government has used in recent years. I know the committee has heard extensive evidence around the hostile narrative. And remember, it was the ex-Prime Minister, Theresa May, who coined the term hostile environment as the official public policy in 2012. In no uncertain terms, this is a deliberate ploy by the Tories to degrade the rights of asylum seekers and also to dehumanise them. Now, they want to create an environment where people are not welcomed, in the hopes that those seeking asylum decide to go elsewhere rather than building a life for themselves in the UK. Now, this shows how utterly out of touch the Tory UK Government actually are, and why the Supreme Court was right to shut down their inhumane and morally bankrupt Rwanda policy. But sadly, that vote is going to come back to the Commons tonight. Now, instead of creating a culture war that attacks the most vulnerable, the Tories should be investing in clearing the backlog and creating safe and legal routes to those fleeing war and also persecution. And to provide some context to the debate, I'm now going to comment on just kind of two myth-busting facts from the Refugee Council's website. First of all, and contrary to what the Tories want people to think, the UK is home to approximately 1% of the 27.1 million people, refugees, who are forcibly displaced across the world. And secondly, refugees make a huge contribution to the UK. For example, around 1,200 medically qualified refugees are recorded on the BMA database. Come back to the conclusions of the report, I note there were calls for more funding for the third sector to provide a whole systems approach. We are only all too aware of the challenging financial picture facing the Scottish Government. But I do agree that the third sector needs to be involved with the development of policy and funding mechanisms, both at Scottish and UK Government level. Because, as I've already mentioned, third sector organisations in my constituency play a key role in helping refugees and asylum seekers feel part of the community. And to conclude, Presiding Officer, the UK Government's callous approach to asylum is at odds with Scotland's desire to provide sanctuary for the most vulnerable. And only with independence can we establish a compassionate approach. Thank you.